All right, week 11, NFL Thursday, Pats Jets, first minute of the game. You kind of had that feeling the Pats were going to take over. Jets are 2-7. They had back-to-back wins, but it's the New York Jets. It's been a rough year for them, rough decade, let's say, and the Pats have been rolling. I think this was their eighth or ninth straight win of the season. They're hooping. We're going to talk Pats. We're going to talk Jets tonight. They dominated 27-14. Then we're going to talk some A.J. Brown to wrap things up for this beautiful Thursday night. You know the drill. JV back on the JV show for another Thursday night recap tonight. My good friend Connor joins me. We've been talking back and forth for around a year now, it feels like. Just in the DM, shooting the shit. He has his own show, so I'll get him to shout that out. Connor, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I mean, I absolutely love being on here. I'm so excited to talk some football. I mean, what a boring game, but it's going to be an even better show.
100%. Hey, Patriots have been dominating this year, man, and nothing about that is boring to me. I'm a Bills fan. I've struggled a lot dealing with that and the Buffalo Bills collapsing so far this year. But I'm happy to see Drake May hooping. I'm happy to see Mike Vrabel doing his thing because those are two people that I truthfully believe in. As much as I hate to admit it, great player in Drake May, phenomenal coach. We're going to touch on them right away. Quickly, I want to shout out my sponsors for the year, Big Third Down Shop. If you wouldn't mind going to the link in my bio on literally any platform, checking them out. They are selling NFL fan hats, and they have a bunch more coming out. New collection dropping soon, so go check them out. Show them some love. They are sponsoring me throughout the year. You'll see the hats circulated in the episodes. And without further ado, I want to dive into this Jets-Patriots game. Jets fall to 2-8 on the season. They're probably looking at a high first-round pick, top 1 to 5. Patriots look like the best team in the league. For a few weeks now, they've been just buzzing on all sides of the ball, offense, defense. We'll touch on them first because right now, besides the Colts, I'd say the Colts have looked really good this year. The Eagles have looked good at points, but there is some inconsistencies, and we'll get into that with A.J. Brown tonight. But New England could really go all the way. Everything seems like it's working for them. And I actually said this earlier on the show back in January when I was talking New England football, when literally nobody had this on their radars. I said if they swapped the head coach, if they kept things rolling with Drake May, which they are doing right now, if they went out and got him a weapon, which they did in Stephon Diggs, and they upgraded that defense, which was already great at the time, just needed some coaching details, and they brought in Vrabel, and he did that, perfected to a T, they would be fine, and they would be looking at the playoffs this year. Right now, Drake May looks like the MVP. Travion Henderson has gone nuclear these past few weeks. He's balling for this offense. The receiving room is improving week after week. Stephon Diggs has been phenomenal all year long. Mac Hollins is coming in huge. Josh McDaniels has done a phenomenal job with this offense and using what little talent he's got. And the tight ends, too, they've been working really well. Offensive line, still a work in progress, but I think it's been not too bad, all things considered, this year. And the defense has been rolling. I cannot believe Mike Vrabel wasn't hired as a head coach last year. Now, I don't necessarily know the conversations going on, but I was stunned that Tennessee let him go, considering the state of their franchise. And now the Patriots look like real contenders, and they probably will be for a very long time. Connor, what were your thoughts on the Patriots? What are your projections, expectations for the rest of this season? As I think they are sitting at the top of the AFC, or they're right there with the Broncos. And honestly, I feel more confidently about them than I do Denver right now.
No, 100%. You talk about Denver especially. Denver's been playing fraudulent ball. They've been winning games, but they've been playing fraudulent ball. We look at last week on that Thursday game. It made you want to throw up, that performance against the Raiders. The Patriots, they look a completely different team. Drake, again, you said Drake May, he potentially could be the MVP of the league. I think it's Stafford right now, but after that May performance, especially on those third downs, and you look at the Patriots' rest of the schedule, there are only two tough games left in the AFC. You got the Bills at home, and then you go to Baltimore. Those are the only two games they're underdogs in. And now that you have a 2.5 game lead and a tiebreaker right now over Buffalo, the Patriots can easily get a top 1, top 2 seed in the AFC. And the rest of their schedule, listen, we've talked about it. Everyone's talked about it. The Patriots schedule, it's super soft. It's super easy. They went down to Tampa, took care of business. They play the Jets tonight. They don't fall in the trap game. You are looking at a top 5 team in the NFL, and it just shows you how big a quarterback and head coach tandem of Mike Vrabel and Drake May is, because, wow. Like, the Patriots, they're not a finished product. You look, the weapons could be improved. There could be added pieces on the defense. But when you have a coach coaching so well and a quarterback playing that high level, you're going to get performances like this tonight.
Well, this is the scariest thing, and you just mentioned it, Connor. This is far from peak for the Patriots. The Patriots have so much growth to do, and the fact that they have won to this extent this year in what people thought was going to be a rebuild year is pretty damn phenomenal. Drake May has been amazing from week 1 till now. I know he started off a little bit rocky, but there have been those flashes of greatness, and they've gotten more and more bright as the season has progressed. The way he layers the football, the way Josh McDaniels has worked in the tight ends to the system, they're starting to roll with Stephon Diggs now. It is truly amazing to see, and I do think moving forward, this team is just going to get better and better. Now that Travion Henderson has found a true number 1 role in that backfield, 2 rushing touchdowns and a receiving tonight, they're going to do a lot of damage moving forward. Even if it's 1 or 2 wins in the playoffs and they don't go all the way, this could be something special for the next decade to come with Drake May. The poise in the pocket, the calmness under pressure to deliver footballs whenever, stands in the pocket, hits his guy wide open over the middle. I mean, he does it all. He's able to layer the football in between coverages. Any throw in the books. He's been phenomenal passing the ball deep, intermediate, and short all year long. Truthfully, and I know Matthew Stafford at the age 37, at the age of which he's doing things right now, it's pretty miraculous what he's able to do with his arm. But as far as like a young guy in the league, Drake May is up there as like the number 1 or number 2 guy you'd want to start your franchise with the youth that he has right now. Obviously, you have your Allens, your Lamars, who are getting up there in age, I would say, compared to Drake May, who I think is 23 at the moment. He has got a phenomenal 2 decades of football ahead of him, and the Patriots somehow have landed yet another franchise guy to roll with. The Jets, on the other hand, just a complete disaster. Like, listen, I somewhat feel bad for Justin Fields, Connor. I understand his arm isn't starting NFL caliber. Like, it hasn't been since he started playing in the NFL, but he also hasn't had the coaching staff to help develop his arm. He started in Chicago, which historically isn't a great place to start as a quarterback, with Matt Nagy. Then he goes to Pittsburgh, plays 6 games, goes 4-2 on the best team he's played with throughout his career, with the best organization he's been a part of. He gets benched for Russ, and now he's trapped in New York with a first-time head coach and a team that is nowhere near equipped to make a playoff game. I understand the talent, as like the arm talent, it's not there yet. And he's got a lot of growth to do. But at the same time, the teams and the franchises he has dealt with have given him a 0% chance of success. It is terribly difficult to start your career for a team that desperately needs help, and you're not necessarily ready to come in and deliver 30 touchdowns through the air. He just wasn't able to do that. He wasn't ready to step into that role. A lot of quarterbacks aren't able to do that with the weapons and the coaching he had, and I feel like he's kind of been screwed from the start. I love Justin Fields as a teammate. I think he is a phenomenal guy. And I don't know him personally, but from the way he talks and the way he communicates to the media, I think he's just he's a phenomenal dude. Phenomenal teammate. Everybody loves him that I hear talk about him in the media. I feel genuinely bad because he's probably done now as a starter in the NFL after the Jets. And although, again, like I don't think the talent is there right now, I don't think the arm capabilities are just there, it's tough when you don't have the coaching and the team backing you. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get what you mean. You explained it perfectly. Like, Justin Fields has gone from dysfunction to stagnation to dysfunction. He is the death of the prototypical developmental quarterback. I mean, obviously with Matt Nagy, who respects Matt Nagy in this more? He's holding back the Chiefs offense, but that's a story for another day. Then he goes to Pittsburgh. I thought he performed quite well. and then ends up getting benched, as you stated. But also the thing with the Steelers is they don't do offense. They don't develop quarterbacks. They don't develop offensive skill players at all. They are defense first, and whatever 40-year-old quarterback is going to get Mike Tomlin his 9 wins in the year. And then, yeah, when you go to a place like the Jets, I'm from New York. I know the Jets. The Jets are the death of the NFL. They're the graveyard of the NFL. Anything that good that comes to the Jets eventually dies off. And the thing with Justin Fields, too, not only is his arm doesn't seem to be ready there, a lot of those coaching mechanics, he just doesn't make simple plays. He's always trying to make the 30, 40-yard bomb down the field. He's always trying to scramble, make the 15-yard rushing play like he did at Ohio State, because when he was at Ohio State, he had the best receivers in the country, he had the best offensive line in the country, and he could do whatever he wanted. Now, when you look at those typical games, he has John Mechie on those 3-yard flat routes. He has Mason Taylor on the 5-yard in routes. He just is too hesitant to throw those, and when he's too hesitant, then he gets sacked, then he scrambles back, then he throws incompletions. That's the thing with Justin Fields. He just can't make the simple plays that you see Drake May and so many other quarterbacks are able to make.
Yeah, I mean, the arm, like I said, it's just not there. Like, I've watched him time and time again, and there's clearly an issue passing the ball, which is the number one red flag for a quarterback. Like, I remember when Lamar came in, and everybody was kind of calling him a running back in his early days when he won his first MVP. And then Greg Roman left, and then the arm started coming around, and it was like, okay, like, he's building, and now you could look at Lamar and say, at points, he's a top 5 pocket passer in the league. Like, he really does dissect defenses at his best, and he does it on a consistent basis now, which is awesome. When you watch Justin Fields early in his career, you were kind of maybe thinking the same thing. It's like, okay, he's very athletic. He can run the ball really well. That's no doubt. But is the arm eventually going to come around? And I don't know what year we're in, like 4 or 5 now with Justin Fields, and it just hasn't. Now, you can attribute that to many different factors. Like we said, landed in a bad franchise, went to a place they don't do offense. Like you said, still produced. He played his best football in Pittsburgh, still got benched for Russ, who was the end of the franchise. I know he started off pretty hot for a few games there, but inevitably the Steelers end up in the wild card game and lose every single year. And then he goes to the Jets. It's like, I don't know, this thing with drafting quarterbacks early that need development, you really got to buy in. It's the same thing with Anthony Richardson. Like, you drafted Anthony Richardson knowing he was a project and then expected him to be a top 10 NFL starter after year 1 or year 2. Like, it's just not going to happen. You need to spend time developing this guy. You drafted him because of the athleticism, because of the raw talent that you see. Give it time. It's the same thing with Justin Fields. You need to sit him down with an offensive coach that can actually try and develop him and help him out. Now, maybe it's just not going to work. Maybe Justin Fields just isn't suited to be a consistent NFL starter in the league. I don't know, but I just feel bad for guys because I've seen in the past few years a lot of guys resurrect their careers. Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. And then I see players like Justin Fields or Bryce Young get trapped in organizations where quarterback success is foreign. You know, it's just, it doesn't really happen there. And it's like, okay, maybe they're not the best quarterback, but at the same time, they're not in the best situation. And that plays a large role into things. Like, it helped that Brady was with Belichick and had a great defense. It helped that Reed and Mahomes ended up getting paired together, and Mahomes had a fantastic offense awaiting him, right? So situation definitely matters, and that's where I feel bad for Justin Fields. The Jets are far from going anywhere, but Aaron Glenn, from what I've seen, like, he won back-to-back games with the Jets, and for me, that's enough to keep him around. I don't care who they played. I don't care what the situation is. I know he's a first-year head coach. I know there have been a lot of bumps along the way so far. But again, it's the same argument with Fields. It's like, he doesn't really have much to work with. Like, nobody expected the Jets to be good. You hired Aaron Glenn to kind of change the momentum, I guess you could say, change the locker room culture. I think Glenn could be a good head coach in the league. I think right now he's doing a fine job. Like, again, there have been some hiccups, but it's like, are we really going to blame the guy? He doesn't really have a team. They're obviously not going to win. They're destined for a top 5 pick. I think they keep Glenn around until they can actually make a true decision when he has some talent on his side. Like, they traded away Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, Justin Fields has not looked good this year. Pardon me, I'm blanking on his name. Garrett Wilson is on IR now. It's like, what does he have to work with? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel bad for the guy.
He's got absolutely nothing. And the unique thing with Aaron Glenn is, I was talking about this earlier, you're seeing a lot of those similar seasons in the first year with Aaron Glenn that the first year of Dan Campbell was. Now, again, the Lions, they had to wait till week 13 to win that first game against the Vikings all those years ago, but everyone was hype about it. This is about building the culture. And if that's the number one, everyone talks about building culture. It's the thing that the Jets need the most, because their culture is the most toxic in the NFL. Woody Johnson's taking pot shots at Justin Fields. Woody Johnson just is the worst owner in sports. You can make the case of the fan base is starving, waiting for wins. And I feel it. If you're a Jets fan, how long have you had to wait to see your team make the playoffs? They haven't won a playoff game since, 2010? I was 5 at this point. I'm 20 now. It's been 15 years. So the question is, with Aaron Glenn, can he get 1 or 2 more wins? Can he keep the culture up? And then when the Jets have a top 5 pick, can they go out and get somebody like Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, get your quarterback? The rest of the Jets have pieces. The offensive line is young and solid with Fashanu and Armand Membu, who's been amazing on the right side of the right side of the line for them. Garrett Wilson's a stud at receiver. I think Mechie and Adonai Mitchell and Mason Taylor can be contributing pieces to a Jets offense. And yeah, it sucks to lose Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. But the thing is, with the Jets, if you weren't going to win with these guys anyways, to get that much value for them is tremendous anyways. So if Aaron Glenn is a defensive guy, he will eventually figure out this Jets defense. It's just going to be the question of who are they going to get using all those picks that we previously talked about, and are they going to be the right guys? Because if they hit on the quarterback, this team has the potential to maybe even be close to the playoffs next year.
Well, look, I watched the Jets fire Saleh last year after he went 2-3.
Yeah.
And, obviously it was a panic move where Woody Johnson was like, all right, we brought in Aaron Rodgers. This was supposed to be the year. This was supposed to be the move that finally brings us to the playoffs, wins us a few playoff games. And it wasn't working at first. And you fire Robert Saleh for what? Like, you're back to square one the next year. Robert Saleh, there or not, it was going to be the same situation. So at that point, it was head-scratching and like, is Robert Saleh really the issue? Like, is he the main problem here? I don't know. Like, maybe he wasn't cut out to be a head coach. He certainly is a phenomenal defensive coordinator, and what he's doing in San Francisco this year with all those damn injuries, still piecing together somewhat of a defense, which is awesome to see. But again, at the point, I was like, hey, he's doing his job. He's made the New York Jets a top defense for consecutive years. You brought him in to do that. He's a defensive guy. You brought in Aaron to run the offense. It wasn't working. You fire Saleh. I didn't understand. Woody Johnson is a complete clown of an owner or a GM. Like, it is ridiculous what I've seen from him in the decision-making, and the whole fan base knows it. Everybody knows it. But again, it's like you fire Aaron Glenn, you let him go. I just don't see it. I don't understand it because you're not going to do anything. It's not going to revolutionize anything for this team. It's not like the Bills where I feel like we've had enough and we've seen enough of this like whole playoff narrative in that, hey, maybe McDermott hit his peak. Like the defenses just haven't looked good in the playoffs. The Jets are going to be the same team regardless, with Aaron Glenn or not. So you might as well give him a shot, right? He obviously succeeded with the Detroit defense when he was with the Lions. He came from that Dan Campbell system. I like the mentality there. There's a shot he's a really good head coach. Just give it time. Give him some talent. Give him a team to work with, and then we can see how that looks. Let's move to A.J. Brown and the Eagles to wrap things up right now, Connor. We were kind of talking about this off screen, going back and forth about A.J. Brown. Just watching the events transpire this year so far really seems like since like week 2 or week 3, there's been a problem. All year long, this Philly offense has been off. Now, whether you blame that on Jalen Hurts and his arm capabilities or Kevin Patullo or whatever the situation may be, the offensive line, A.J. Brown himself, there's clearly something wrong or off with this Philly offense. It's not as dominant as it was last year. Hey, maybe they got tape on it. Maybe defenses are a little bit better against this offense. I don't know. But the situation right now is A.J. Brown has now had his worst year as a Philadelphia Eagle through the first 8 or 9 weeks of the season. And that's not good. And it goes to show you that the money, the championships, the winning, it actually doesn't mean everything for some of these players, right? Like there's a lot of pride in performance, and that's not a dig at A.J. Brown. It's just reality. You want to put up stats. You want to put up numbers. You want to play great and be targeted as a receiver to feel worthy in this offense, especially when you're an alpha, when you're dominant like A.J. Brown. Here's the thing. I don't agree with how A.J. Brown is handling the situation. I've never been a fan of players that post cryptic messages on social media. I don't like how he's going on stream and saying, drop me in fantasy. I feel like it's weak. I feel like it's self-absorbed. I would much rather him stick to the media, stick to the press conferences, and voice your opinion respectfully about your team. It's completely fair to talk about the inconsistencies with the offense and how you envision yourself playing a part in this offense at its best. I agree with A.J. Brown. This offense has not been as good as it can be this season. I just don't agree how he handles it on social media, acting somewhat like a diva, going around, posting tweets, posting Instagram stories, going on stream. I just don't like that from a player's perspective. It doesn't have anything to do with A.J. Brown. That's just my general rule of thumb. I've never liked that watching it because this is an issue that the Eagles as a team need to solve. Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, the whole offense needs to sit down and say, hey, this isn't working. We need to change this. But it's just weak-minded to me to see him on social media saying, like, everything's good with the family, football ain't good. It's like, you're winning games. I understand you want to be a part of it. I understand this offense needs to be better. Be honest with the media. Speak your mind. That's fine. Just not on social media. Like, I'm not a fan of it.
No, and the only thing that this hurts is the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's been happening for the past, 2 years. Everyone forgets that A.J. Brown had issues with the Eagles offense last year. He barely got 1,000 yards last year. But I think it's just when we're talking about the Eagles offense, I think it's obviously everything last year came through Saquon Barkley. That was the Philadelphia Eagles. They ran it to Saquon Barkley, and if you somehow stopped Saquon Barkley, which no one did last year, then Jalen Hurts was going to dice you up with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Now the question is, now the teams are loading the box, why hasn't A.J. Brown been able to succeed? You think that since Saquon's numbers have dipped down so dramatically, but it really seems like everyone else on this offense is starting to finally figure out who they are. Devonta Smith has looked pretty dang good in these past few weeks. Dallas Goedert has been a bit of a touchdown machine, so it is bizarre to see how A.J. Brown, who is one of the most physically dominant receivers in the league, one of the most dominant receivers in the league in general, just isn't able to get that type of production. And again, I agree with you entirely. You can't go on social media and complain with that. It hurts the locker room. It hurts the chemistry with Hurts and Barkley, because I remember a few weeks ago after that loss to the Giants, they're like, oh, we had this parking lot meeting talking about what we were going to do on offense, Barkley and Hurts said, and then A.J. Brown the next week to NBC Sports is like, nah, we didn't have that conversation. So I think it's just another typical diva receiver thing, but the weird part is a lot of, as you say, the winning hasn't blown the issues away. Typically winning takes away 99% of these locker room problems. It hasn't for some reason with A.J. Brown. It's kind of inexplainable to see because he's getting open. I don't know if it's a Hurts problem. I don't know if it's a KP problem. But if Philadelphia wants to go back-to-back because the NFC is so much stronger than the AFC this year, they're going to have to figure it out, or they're just going to have to do something with him.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very odd. I like that you pointed out the fact Devonta Smith has been hooping. Like, he's had probably his best year as a Philadelphia Eagle. I don't know from a statistical standpoint if that's true. It probably is. But just generally from an eye test perspective, he has grown in this offense. Now, I don't necessarily agree with people going out there and stating that this offense can do it without A.J. Brown. You don't understand the impact of a top 5, top 8 receiver on a team. Like, A.J. Brown is one of the most physically dominating receivers, like you said, in the NFL. He does everything very well. He's a well-rounded receiver, I would say, and he's a crucial part to this offense. He was last year on the Super Bowl run, and he will remain a crucial part until he's gone. But it's very weird to see, and like you said, in previous years, I mean, there's always been an issue in Philly. People love to make issues about the Eagles even when they're irrelevant, and that has happened year after year, whether it's A.J. Brown in the book, which I thought was bullshit, whatever it is, like, they're always trying to find a problem. This, to me, is a little bit more than that. Like, the fact A.J. Brown's actually going out there, and it seems like weekly he's making these remarks about the team and his position and his volume. There's something wrong. Like, there's something wrong. It has to be fixed. Just address it in-house properly. That's all I ask. I don't like how it's projected out to the media on Instagram. I don't want to be scrolling and seeing him talking to random YouTubers saying, bench me in fantasy. I'm not going to get the production. I don't get it. You know what I mean? And whether this means that he's gone next year or not, you have a season to focus on. And partially this is now on Nick Sirianni to say, like, hey, I've heard the concerns. I bet he's sick and tired of it too, right? Imagine dealing with this as a head coach. It's like, you got to figure this out. You're asked every week on the media, why is your player doing this? You don't have full control. Everyone's got freedom of speech. It's like, I don't know, but I hope he can figure it out, because this offense at its max potential is absolutely amazing. They can really do it all. And again, there's been problem after problem. The offensive line hasn't had a lot of continuity this year and consistency with all the injuries that they've had. Saquon Barkley hasn't been nearly as good. You can credit that to the offensive line, obviously. Jalen Hurts, I don't think his arm is absolutely elite. Like, there are limitations with it. But again, we've seen A.J. Brown succeed with it, right? So it's kind of head-scratching. I don't know what to make of it, but I still do view the Eagles as the number one option in the NFC until proven otherwise, really. Like, I know they've lost a few games this year, but every team has. You're going to have some wins, going to have some losses. I still think top to bottom, with how that defense has been performing, bringing in Jalen Phillips, I have full trust in Fangio. And ultimately, the talent on this offense is going to take them pretty far. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see. They have a huge matchup this weekend against the Detroit Lions on Sunday night. You're going to be able to see maybe the best scoring offense versus maybe the best offense on paper in Philly, because Detroit, we know they can put up 45 points on anybody in the league. The question is going to be, can A.J. Brown finally get involved? And I think there's a clear opportunity here. Detroit's secondary is weak. Terrion Arnold is not the first-round player that they projected him to be. Amik Robertson can be solid here or there. Brian Branch is a stud of a receiver, but he's going to be focused on Devonta Smith. He's going to be focused on more of the slot guys, because that's just what he plays as that nickel safety. So it'll be interesting to see what he's able to do. But this is what champions go through. And for some reason, it seems like A.J. Brown's mentality seems so different from everybody else. You remember the interview after the Super Bowl. They asked Devonta Smith, the guy who caught the touchdown to make it 34-0, hey, what's it like to win the Super Bowl? And he's like, we're focused on the next one. In the celebrations of winning the Super Bowl, he's like, they're already focused on the next one. Jalen Hurts, you can talk about how cheesy and corny some of his quotes are. That is the most dedicated, motivated, and locked-in man in the NFL. It seems like all of the other 52 players on Philadelphia's roster are focused on winning games. They don't care about stats. And it just seems like A.J. Brown sitting in the corner there crying like, why aren't I playing well? I get it. You're a top receiver. You kind of have to have that mentality if you want to be the best in the league. But it's just baffling. It seems like everyone else is, we're going to go win, go back to back. And he's just like, I want 30 fantasy points a week.
Yeah, it's a league that it's pretty cutthroat for receivers. You watch the Rams, who had the Triple Crown receiver in Cooper Kupp a few years ago, just have an absolutely phenomenal year. And then Puka comes in and just steals the show. You know what I mean? And I'm not necessarily saying that's what's going to happen with Smitty and A.J. Brown, but with receivers, I feel like you do have to kind of have that diva attitude. You have to have this cocky arrogance in your personality built in, because it's ruthless out there on the field when you're going up against those DBs who chat a lot of shit. You got to be that guy. You got to think yourself of that guy. And a lot of that also comes through off the field with A.J. Brown. Like, this isn't about hating on A.J. and what he's saying. It's just, I think the delivery could be better. I just think A.J. Brown can deliver the message better in a better setting without it being blown up on social media as much as it has been, because he's been on stream. But like you said, it's a big moment for Philly now, because you're on primetime Monday Night Football with the Packers. The Packers have a really good defense. It was pretty gross, I would say, in the wild card round. It was a divisional, not a divisional, a defensive game still in that wild card game, right? Like, it was kind of back and forth.
Yeah, you had the book on the
Offenses couldn't get
sidelines.
it going. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what people expected. Like, it was going to be a low-scoring, tough-fought, whichever defense doesn't make the mistake is going to win the game. Now you're going up against the Lions again on prime time, and I feel like last year there was a point where there was a lot of concern about A.J. Brown. There was a big thing in the media, and the next week he balled out. So this is a big week where you can go out, make a point of emphasis of like, hey, I don't care what happens. We're getting A.J. Brown the ball. We're putting him downfield. We're going to get him 10 targets on the night. Whatever happens, happens. But that's what's going to resolve the situation. Unless you don't, and it just snowballs, and it snowballs. And that's not ideal, I don't think, when you get to the playoffs. That is a wrap on Thursday Night Football. Connor, I appreciate you joining me. If you want to let the people know where they can find you, I'd appreciate that. I'm sure they would too.
Yeah, check me out on Instagram and YouTube at The Hurdle Podcast or at The Hurdle with Connor Pierce if you Google it. I loved being on here. It was a fantastic opportunity. Hope you guys can check out some of my content. If not, subscribe to the JV show. This guy, he makes amazing stuff. Subscribe to my channel. I'd love to provide even more football content. And who knows, I might get a soccer channel up in the works. So if you're interested in soccer, hit me up. But absolute pleasure to be back on the show, to be with you, JV. I hope you have me around for more. If not, it's been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure being on here.